Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine. Honestly.
Case closed. Good morning, Liberty Lovers. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show. I'm not done talking about Jeffrey Epstein. It's Tuesday, July the 5th. You're tuned into the Wake Up America show, broadcasting, streaming, live. Sean Marsh would get mad at me for that. Streaming live from the heart of Missouri, where the pens still write in cursive. Yes, and the presidents still sign their own names, or at least they used to. Today's top story, I'm not joking when I say this might be the most on-brand Biden scandal yet. The man who couldn't finish a sentence is now being accused of not finishing signatures. Yes, that's right. The presidential Autopen is back in the spotlight. Apparently he was signing pardons, not holiday cards, not press photos, not autographs for little kids who are like, oh, President Biden, I'm a huge fan. I don't think there were a lot of big fans, but nevertheless. Clemency decisions, the weighty constitutional actions that are supposed to come directly from the commander-in-chief, not from the Xerox machine in the Eisenhower building.
Looks different. It looks authentic. In fact, if you look at the last name, it almost looks like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there. Is this White House of the opinion that the only pardon that would count is one that the president signed himself?
It's very interesting. Very interesting props. If you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a closer look, I would like to do that. The president is making a good point when he discusses the usage of the Autopen. Who was running the country for the past 4 years? Perhaps those documents were signed with the Autopen, something that I believe the Department of Justice is looking into. As you saw, Ed Martin made an announcement at the Department of Justice this morning to launch an investigation because the American people deserve answers.
Is there any concern that this president, who won the election on a promise to fix the economy and close the border, that focusing and scrutinizing these Biden pardons is looking into the past instead of looking forward?
I think in comparison to the amount of time this president has spent on securing the border, on fixing our economy, I just read out for you an entire list of economic accomplishments. Look at the border numbers. Look at the time and effort he's divulged.
Now Trump is calling this out, right? He's saying Biden didn't sign a thing. He says he didn't even know what he was signing. And you know what? I believe him. I believe Donald Trump on this one. I'm just going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust the government on this one. What are you supposed to use the Autopen for if it's not signing clemency pardons?
Right, we get thousands of letters a week, Susie, right? Thousands. I mean, tens of thousands sometimes. I look at there's a room where we have many, many people working, responding and sending letters back. That's what an Autopen's supposed to be. To write to a young 7-year-old boy that writes to the president and he wants to be president someday and he loves America. That's what the Autopen's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be for signing major legislation and all of the things. No, the Autopen, and I doubt he knew. I doubt they even spoke to him about it. I think they had, it's called a freewheeling Autopen. Like, Biden was never for open borders. Biden was never for transgender for everyone. So I don't think I think the radical left people that took over the White House, and if I didn't win, our country was finished.
Yeah, I completely agree, Mr. President. Thank you to John and KC for subbing this morning. He's helped to unlock the bonus content today. We've got some juicy bonus content for you today. If you want to fight for your right to party, that's a little hint about the topic, then make sure that you get those Rumble rants in early and often, or go shopping at thegriftshop.com. If you head to thegriftshop.com, you can get yourself some grifty merch. Alligator Alcatraz, nice little grifty shirt you can get there, and plenty of other great grifty merchandise as well at thegriftshop.com. We've now raised $5 towards the $75 bonus call, so bonus content. So, John Rail, you've helped to unlock that. We appreciate you, sir. We doff our hat to you, and we give a little George Washington head bump. Every time we get a Rumble rant today, we're going to do a little George Washington head bubble. How does that sound? You guys down? There we go. This one's for John Rail. We're going to start doing a George Washington head bubble there. All right, so the Autopen signing, right? I believe President Trump. I've seen more executive function in a magic 8-ball than in the final weeks of the Biden administration. But it gets better. It gets better. Yes, it does. The National Archives is now reviewing, the National Archives is now reviewing emails with keywords like pardon, commutation, and, you guessed it, Autopen. There are congressional subpoenas. The White House physician pled the fifth, and the DOJ is suddenly pretending this is all just standard procedure. Friends, if the pen is mightier than the sword, then we've officially handed the blade to a fax machine. I agree with Scott Jennings here.
Like the rest of us, you read this stuff in the New York Times about the pardons and the Autopen, and your eyes were popping out of your head. Give us your immediate reaction to what's been said here in the New York Times today.
Well, it's finally the New York Times is being a little helpful. Everything that we've discovered has proven the test of time to be factual, from their influence peddling operation to now their illegal, unauthorized use of the Autopen. This is what President Trump said. This is a huge scandal.
If it's determined that the actual president didn't have direct knowledge or give a direct order on an individual signature, does that take it off the books? Again, this is so unprecedented. We're asking questions that have never been asked because we've never seen people run a White House like this before. But in your opinion, as a member of Congress, is that what happens? And then what is the mechanism by affecting that change, or does it just happen automatically? I mean, it seems like we're in la-la land here, but this is where Biden has put us.
We are in la-la land, and Biden did put us in there, but I think it can be declared void and null in a court of law. And that's a big deal, especially with the executive orders. Many of these executive orders were signed in the last 2 months of the lame duck Biden administration, and many of these executive orders, as you know, Scott, were done to Trump-proof the
right
next administration.
So there we go. We're going to be breaking that story wide open today. Plus, we're going to bring in rare Camellia, a very rare Camellia, the only Camellia I know, to talk about vaccine shaming. I'm sure you've all experienced this. Political estrangement, and whether Americans can actually repair friendships after the COVID-19 crack up in this country. Then we're going to dive into quiet cracking. It's not going and smoking crack in the closet while you're at work, kids. Quiet cracking, the new workplace trend where employees slowly lose their will to live because Chad from HR won't stop scheduling Zoom calls at 4:59 p.m. You guys know this guy. I hesitate to call him Chad. Murgatroyd, maybe, is his name. And of course, the new merch drop is live. We've got all kinds of great new stuff in the Griff Shop. Check out Judge Napolitano's collection. We've got an exclusive over there at the Griff Shop for the Judge. It's the Abolish the ATF merch line. So head on over and search it up at thegriffshop.com. And remember, all of the purchases that you make at forlibertyshop.com during the live stream count towards the bonus content goal. If there are people out there that you see on X who are lost this morning, we are, just FYI, a little technical note, we are not streaming live on the typical page that we stream on Rumble because we are streaming using a new protocol that Rumble has, just a little behind the scenes stuff without getting too technical. In order for me to stream in the highest possible quality for you on the show, I had to tinker around with their new tool that they have, which is this new direct streaming thing that they have. I don't have to go through this older tool that they have. But for those of you who found it, congratulations. We're streaming on my personal page, and it's not getting pushed over to my actual professional page where all my followers are, which of course is a problem, and I'll have to figure it out. Yada, yada, yada was tired the next morning. So if you're joining us this morning here, we're glad to have you here. If you made it to Rumble, thank you for joining us. We're glad to have you here with us live. Make sure that you click the like button and follow as well if today's your first time watching the show, but expect the numbers to be lowered today because people are going to be having a hard time finding the stream. I can't help it. But if you can help, that would be great. If you know that somebody's out there posting on X into the ether and you're like, hey, they can't find the stream over on Rumble, make sure that they can help find it and bring them in here with the link. I posted it over on X, so you should be able to find it. So hopefully you guys will be able to enjoy the show, and we'll just have a lower audience number today because Rumble doesn't make it easy to learn these things. And learning things, new things, is difficult when you are like me, an adult learner. One of these days, I'm going to get an Autopen for Stephanie for me. So the pen is mightier, the penis mightier when Biden actually holds it. So what do you do when you mix a senile president? What do you get when you mix a senile president, a robotic signature machine, and a pile of shady pardons? You got today's top story, and it ain't fiction. Trump says Biden knew nothing about what he was signing. Autopen was used to sign clemency decisions, not birthday cards, not photo ops, actual pardons. This is what Trump had to say.
Thank you, Mr. President. On a separate topic here, President Biden, of all people, spoke to the New York Times over the weekend. He did not speak to them on the record during his time in office at all, but he spoke to them recently. And he defended his use of the Autopen and said that he signed off on every decision. But at the same time, the Times reports that he did not individually approve each name for the categorical pardons that applied to large numbers of people. What are your take on that? Any new revelations from that?
Well, I mean, you're talking about the Autopen. Look, the Autopen, I think, is maybe one of the biggest scandals that we've had in 50 to 100 years. This is a tremendous scandal. And I know the people on the other side of the, see that desk?
Not JFK assassination.
That Resolute desk, unfortunately, he used it before me. But, you know, we have our choice of 7 desks. They're all beautiful. But I chose the Resolute, and so did he, unfortunately. But the people on the other side of the Resolute desk, I know them. Lisa, the whole group, and they're no good. They're sick people. And I guarantee he knew nothing about what he was signing. I guarantee it. So they're going to figure it out, and we'll see what happens. But to me, the Autopen, you know, you elected president. You know what the Autopen is supposed to do? Sign thousands of letters from young people that write. We get thousands of letters a week, Susie, right? Thousands. I mean, tens of thousands sometimes. I look at a room, there's a room where we have many, many people working, responding and sending letters back. That's what an Autopen's supposed to be. To write to a young 7-year-old boy that writes to the president, and he wants to be president someday, and he loves America. That's what the Autopen's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be for signing major legislation and all the things. No, the Autopen, and I doubt he knew. I doubt they even spoke to him about it. I think they had, it's called the freewheeling Autopen. Like, Biden was never for open borders. Biden was.
Yeah, so there you go. Trump says Biden knew nothing about what he was signing. Autopen was used to sign clemency decisions, not birthday cards, not photo ops, actual pardons. That's what the Autopen is for, writing to 7-year-old boys. Trump, we need to stop with the 7-year-old boy rhetoric this morning, right? We'll get to Epstein, back to the Epstein story in a little bit. He says not releasing criminals. So the clemency power is explicitly personal. It's not the a kind of power that can be delegated to aides. It can't be passed through a Xerox machine. If Biden was mentally present, why the Autopen? If he wasn't mentally president, who was the president that day? You know, I've seen more cognitive function in a broken Roomba than in this clemency process. The Autopen didn't just sign pardons, it signed the final death certificate for Biden's credibility. There we are. Your guys are finding this show. At least it's in super high max resolution. still struggling with some of Rumble's new software tools that we're starting to learn how to use, but I'm glad that Thormock made it, Y2 Joe, Joni Rankin, Southcott, Ashley Ann, and BB for Liberty, and many others made it to the Wake Up America show. The numbers will be a little lower today because of that little challenge there. On the normal place for me on Rumble, says Hammerlager. Yeah, I just reposted it over to that channel, so hopefully it made it over there. If you guys are wanting to help wake up the Wake Up America show to stay on live till next month, make sure that you drop those Rumble rants early and often. Everybody gets a little George Washington head boop if we get a donation to help unlock the bonus content, or visit the Griff Shop at thegriffshop.com. If you head to thegriffshop.com, you'll find all of our line of excellent merchandise. Merchandise. That's what it's about. Merchandise. At thegriffshop.com, and we're grateful for everybody was just really tenacious in getting out there and finding that stream. Bruce Burtwhistle says, can't get you on Rumble, but found you on X. Have a great show. There you go. Everybody's texting me this morning. Where are they texting me? At 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586 for the text line. Make sure that you guys have that programmed in your phone so that you can send a text. Say, Austin, I don't see you on Rumble. So head on over, make sure that you put that in your phone and program it so you'll be able to find us no matter where we are.
I think Americans would like to know who is actually running the show. This is just one aspect of significant decision making that I don't think any of us could really believe at this point Biden was all that aware of.
That's exactly right. You know, whenever you vote for somebody at the ballot box, you expect that person to be the person who's actually calling the shots, the person who's going to be held accountable for what's done during their administration. And as we're seeing here, not only did Joe Biden not approve of all of these pardons himself, but he approved certain criteria that a bunch of people would fall under. And as the White House learned new information, the White House team changed who was on those pardon lists without Joe Biden's knowledge and signed these pardons in his name without his approval. That's wrong. That is a major scandal. And listen, President Trump is exactly right. There were things done, legal things, pardons done in Joe Biden's name that he didn't know about, and that's wrong.
Yeah, that is wrong. You're damn right it's wrong. There's Brandon Gill, Texas congressman. Republican, of course. Check this out. This is interesting. Joe Biden's January 19th pardons were all identical. New York Times just confirmed his staff authorized the use of Autopen for them. Fauci, Milley, the J6 committee, etc., all of them. All right, here's the one for the Biden family, J6 committee, Lundergan pardon, General Milley pardon, Dr. Fauci pardon. I'm sorry, but this is a scandal. This is absolutely a scandal. So Thomas Jefferson, it's funny, he actually had an old polygraph duplicator. And this was back when copying your signature meant that you were a genius and not incapacitated. But if you go to Monticello, you will actually see Thomas Jefferson's Autopen, quote unquote. But you had to be a genius to have something like that and to use it back then. But you would put your hand in it, and it would replicate what you were writing, so that you could essentially duplicate your work. Genius stuff. Now it's for official corruption. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. Glad you made it. Make sure that you click that like button if you haven't already, and support the Wake Up America show like Quest Fanning just did by saying, "Pardon these nuts." And dropping $5 in. We've raised $10 towards the $75 bonus content goal. $65 will unlock the bonus content today. And of course, it will give George Washington a little head boop. We give a little head boop. We give a little head bobble. We give that up for Quest Fanning for his little donation. Every donation will hit a little head bobble there for George Washington. So thank you, Quest. Obama used it actually to sign the Patriot Act, but at least he knew what he was signing. In 2005, a DOJ opinion says the Autopen is okay if the president made the decision. But Joe Biden's doctor recently pled the fifth. His aides are under congressional subpoena. That's not confidence, that's cover-up. So here's a question for the audience. Should presidents be required to physically sign major documents? Yes or no? Let us know. Drop a yes or a no in the chat or send us a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586, or you can just drop a comment below. Yes or no, should presidents be required to physically sign major documents? And here's a question. What would you use to delineate between what's a major document and what's not a major document? So perhaps correspondence that comes in, signed by the Autopen, makes sense, no problem there. However, if it's a piece of legislation like the big beautiful bill, has to be signed by the president in person. Maybe all pardons should have to be signed by the president and in person. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. If Biden used an Autopen for pardons, what else was he rubber stamping without reading? How many other policies? I actually think Trump made a good point there. He said, Joe Biden was never for open borders. Is it possible that Joe Biden was completely manipulated by his handlers and really had no idea what the policies were that were even coming out underneath the White House? It's fascinating stuff.
Looks different. It looks authentic. In fact, if you look at the last name, it almost looks like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there. Is this White House of the opinion that the only pardon that would count is one that the president signed himself?
It's very interesting. Very interesting props. If you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a closer look, I would like to do that. The president is making a good point when he discusses the usage of the Autopen. Who was running the country for the past 4 years? Perhaps those documents were signed with the Autopen, something that I believe the Department of Justice is looking into. As you saw, Ed Martin made an announcement at the Department of Justice this morning to launch an investigation because the American people deserve answers.
Is there any concern that this president, who won the election on a promise to fix the economy and close the border, that focusing and scrutinizing these Biden pardons is looking into the past instead of looking forward?
I think in comparison to the amount of time this president has spent on securing the border, on fixing our economy, I just read out for you an entire list of economic accomplishments. Look at the border numbers. Look at the time and effort he's divulged into solving the global conflicts abroad. It pales in comparison, but it still, nevertheless, is a very important issue. And it was a huge issue that sent the president back to this White House. The Americans saw with their own eyes a mentally incompetent president, and they want answers for that, and the president believes they should have
and
them.
Something that
There we go. Interesting. There we go. Thank you, Quest. Give you a little head bobble there. Saying, did anyone pardon themselves using the Autopen? Great question. And thank you for that, Quest Fanning. We appreciate our friends Thormock, Quest Fanning, Bruce Burtwhistle, and everybody joining us live this morning. We've raised $15 towards the $75 bonus content goal, and that is fantastic. Thank you, guys. Do you think that a president should lose legal authority the moment that he can't pick up a pen? There's another good question for the audience. At what point do you think that a president should be considered to be incapacitated? And at what point should the 25th Amendment, which makes grounds for the president to be removed from office if they are incapacitated and if enough people sign off on it, what do you think that the criteria for that should be? If he can't pick up a pen, if he can't remember where he is. Remember all the rumors about Joe Biden being a sundowner that like a lot of these senior citizens, unfortunately, when they're in old folks' homes, they call them sundowners because at night they get restless and they start walking around the place and they're lost and they don't know where they are and they're saying and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Sundowners. What would you say would be the criteria for the president having to have the 25th Amendment invoked? And if you're ever interested in reading a little bit more about the history of presidents who have been incapacitated, two presidents stick out in my mind. One was Woodrow Wilson, who was incapacitated in the White House in what may have been a coma for about a month, and his wife was running the White House and allegedly even signed legislation for the president of the United States. The story of Woodrow Wilson, a very fascinating one. And then there is the question of how fit was Ronald Reagan in the final year of the White House. Some people said that he was actually incapacitated in many times and might have been unable, and maybe the 25th Amendment should have applied there. Want to hear your thoughts on that one? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. So Biden's excuse is that he orally granted the pardons. Squeeze me? Moral oral? Was that before or after putting down? The DOJ, the White House, Council, and Congress are all digging into it. The National Archives are now turning over tens of thousands of internal emails tagged with the words clemency and pardon. And the White House physician who gave Joe Biden his physicals and said that he was healthy and he's fine, invoked the Fifth and invoked patient confidentiality, which you could expect. It sounds like maybe someone forgot to pay his salary. I don't know. But this isn't just a Joe Biden story. This is a regime story. Bureaucrats making decisions behind a paper-thin president. America run by interns and then interns while grandpa naps in Delaware. Amy J. Ease, a nurse over in the chat, says sundowning can start before evening, probably why his workday ended at 4. Really interesting. This is weekend at Biden's, only instead of Bernie, it's the Constitution, right? When Nixon couldn't carry out his duties, he resigned. When Biden can't, they hand him a Sharpie and a teleprompter. We're sort of ruled by printers, paper pushers, and Post-it notes. At this point, Siri has more executive authority. Unlike Joe Biden's clemency process, though, our Founding Flavors coffee is handcrafted, fully awake, and made by people who actually know what day it is. Get it at the Grift Shop. At thegriftshop.com. Remember, all your purchases that are made at forlibertyshop.com or at thegriftshop.com will help to unlock that bonus content. Founding Flavors coffee is delicious. I drink it every day. I've got this morning a delicious box of Franklin's electric elixir that I'm working on. Hold on. Fresh, hot, and delicious. Andy Opperman actually texted me, I think last week, said that he was really jonesing because wherever he was, he had a cup of coffee at a diner. And you ever have the diner coffee and it's just so gross. It's nasty. You're just like, ugh. And you may not even like your coffee with cream and sugar, but you put the cream and sugar in it because it's so bad. Yeah, Andy was texting me saying that he's spoiled because he drinks Jefferson Java right now. The number one seller at the Grift Shop is Jeffersonian Java. It's a light roast, which means that it is highly caffeinated. It's absolutely delicious. It's the number one selling item in all of the Grift Shop. If you already love Founding Flavors coffee, sign up to get a monthly box, or every 2 months or 3 months or every 2 weeks like some of us. Head on over to thegriftshop.com and make sure that you sign up for those monthly subscriptions of delicious coffee over at the Grift Shop. That's thegriftshop.com. In other news, Minneapolis may be about to get its own Zohran Mamdani.
Everyone keeps asking me, Omar, why aren't you doing more videos? As a state senator with a second full-time job and a kid on the way, I just haven't been able to find the time. 2, 1, build a Minneapolis that... Everyone keeps asking me, Omar,
Everyone keeps asking me, Omar, why aren't you doing more videos? As a state senator with a second full-time job and a kid on the way, I just haven't been able to find the time. I've also been fighting for you. Passing things like tuition-free college for working-class families, rideshare protections for our Uber and Lyft drivers, and the legalization of Sentinel testing strips. But this summer, you're going to see a lot more of me because we deserve nice things in Minneapolis, too. To make an affordable Minneapolis that works for everyone, we need a mayor that works as hard as you do.
I'm ready to work
hard too. 1, build a Minneapolis that working people can afford to call home. Here we go. 2, protect our city from a hostile White House. And 3, diversify our city's public safety response because it worked out so well for California. Remember all the diversity people in Los Angeles who had to quit their jobs after the fires? Yes, he wants to outdo Josh Hawley and increase the minimum wage to $20 by 2028. Also wants to pass rent stabilization to stop price gouging. That's Omar Fatah, and incentivize new construction. we can protect workers. Protecting all of our communities from Donald Trump means not letting MPD interact with ICE, whether it's an immigration raid or not. Our residents deserve a mayor that will stand up to Donald Trump and say, no, not in our community. Did you know that the city's own data showed that 47% of calls to Minneapolis Police Department can be diverted to a non-police response? Guys, don't do it, guys. Don't elect him. They will, though. It's Minneapolis. Minnesota's gone to hell in a handbasket. Calls can be diverted to non-police response. Send in the social workers to get shot and raped and killed. Cops aren't social workers. Investments in programs like these ensure that the appropriate response arrives when we call 911. And we can actually free up police resources to focus on violent crime that detracts from community safety. Oh, I'm sorry, he says. It's my campaign managers again. He doesn't even have a campaign manager. He has managers that have been on my case all week about making more videos. I'll find the time tomorrow. Omar Fatah for Minneapolis mayor. Oh, God, no. Juan Perón's everywhere, all about the workers. Minneapolis mayoral candidate Omar Fatah called Somalia our home, even though he was born and raised here.
We should make dua for him and pray for him. I understand that our Somali communities are all connected to each other here in Minnesota and back home, and I ask for your support. There's always been a link between our community here as well as back home, and I'm running to bridge that gap and unite all of us and represent all of us, because when we succeed here, we succeed everywhere. Yeah. And I'm hoping to do that just like Abdulrazak.
Our home. He was born here, he was raised here, but he talks about back home. So this guy doesn't think that he's home. This is the new left.
Was saying, fight back against an authoritarian administration. And Donald Trump's attempt at ripping up the very fabric of the city that we call home, of the country that we belong to and that we love. We know that his policies, they are not just disappearing our neighbors, detaining our friends. They are also turning the world away from our city. The rapid decline of tourists coming to this city is an issue not simply for us living up to our word as a city that welcomes the world, but it's one that has very real economic impacts for artists that are with me here today and those beyond. It is the difference between whether or not people can afford to keep calling the city their home. And so I will be proud to be the mayor of this city, to stand up for this city, and to make it clear that the world is welcome in this city, and that we need to turn the page on this federal administration that is looking to inspire fear among people across this country and across this world when they come to think of who we are and what we are.
God, that's Zoran Mandani, forthcoming mayor of New York City. Hopefully not, but now looking a little bit more likely now that Andrew Cuomo jumped into the race there as an independent, blaming Donald Trump for the drop in tourism to New York City. Good God. It's Trump's fault people don't want to visit New York. Andy Opperman dropped $10 in the tip jar, says bonus content contribution on the way. Thank you, we've raised $25 towards the $75 goal. Once we hit that $75, that will unlock the bonus content for today, and we've got a good one. Hope you guys are fighting for your right to party, because that's what the bonus content is today. You can unlock it one of two ways, either in making a Rumble Rant donation or in going to the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com, and all the purchases made during the live show help to unlock that sweet, sweet bonus content. All right, the House of Cards. Donald Trump, the man who once said that Obama was born in Kenya, Cruz's dad was in Dealey Plaza, and Democrats were rigging microwaves to spy on him, is now asking, why do people believe wild stories about Jeffrey Epstein? This is like Dr. Frankenstein screaming, why does my monster have bolts in its neck?
We've all just witnessed. It's probably worth listening. Now, of course, we have no idea what information, if any, this sociopath, this evil woman will ultimately reveal. But the fact remains that, especially after the humiliating display by Bondi and the DOJ we've all just witnessed, it's probably worth listening to Maxwell's testimony. If a client list exists at this point, she's the most likely person to tell us. Now, yes, it's an indictment of Pam Bondi and the DOJ that we see any reason to listen to a ghoul like this, but that's where we are. Millions of Americans are not satisfied with what we've been told. And we shouldn't be, because it's been contradictory and insulting to our intelligence every step of the way. So now we're looking elsewhere. This is what happens when people are deceived and strung along for years, only to be told that they're not entitled to any kind of transparency whatsoever. People are not just going to move on with their lives, no matter how badly you want them to. And there's a reason for that. And I want to make this very clear to those on the right, including the president himself, who are telling us to just drop the subject and move on. We can't drop it. We can't move on, because what we want is justice. We have a deep desire for justice. And we can see how the corrupt and the powerful are never held accountable. We can look at our cities and see violent criminals running rampant in the streets, also not held accountable. We want these evildoers to be punished. We want the innocent to be defended. We want justice. It's one of the most basic and most honorable of all human desires. We want to see that justice is done. We want to know who else was in those awful videos that Pam Bondi told us about. And we want those people to be dragged in front of us, weeping and begging for mercy. We want them exposed and humiliated and shamed and punished in the harshest and most painful way, because that's justice. And we're not going to drop the subject until we get it. So unseal everything, including the search warrants and the financial disclosures. Tell us what exactly was in those truckloads of documents that you recovered in New York. Show us the phase 2 Epstein files that you told us about just a few months ago. In other words, don't give us any more excuses from bureaucrats on Fox News. Don't give us any more stonewalling and doublespeak. We've seen more than enough of that in this case and so many others. Instead, for a change, give us something we're not used to seeing from the federal government and the DOJ. Give us justice.
Yeah.
Now, of course.
Yeah. Thank you. The MAGA base feels betrayed. They were promised justice and names. They got glitches and grainy jailhouse footage with a missing minute. And now they're being told by their own people that there's nothing to see here. We're all done with this.
I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine. Honestly.
Oh, I forgot the bobblehead, by the way, for all the donations. There we go. Get those donations in there. Thank you guys for all your donations to help unlock the bonus content. We've raised, it looks like $51 or so towards the, $51 towards the $75 bonus content goal. Hopefully we'll make it by the end of the show. And thank you guys for all your support. We're very grateful for that. So where were we? Epstein. Pam Bondi's desk was any more cluttered, it'd be declared a national archive. Kash Patel's wearing his big boy pants, but apparently he's also wearing a blindfold. This is the kind of story where even Alex Jones is looking the official narrative way of being like, wait, really? Hank Johnson, Democrat Congressman Hank Johnson, famous for suggesting that the Isle of Guam could tip over, wrote a new song about it even.
Congressman Hank Johnson coming to give you some more ear candy or perhaps an earache. But I'm going to do my best off of this Jason Isbell tune, Dreamsicle.
Epstein died by suicide. Believe that and you must be blind. You've been telling us you released the file, but where are they? We've gone along with what's been told. We've had plenty of time, you're in control. But now you say you will withhold the Epstein file. Dreamsicle on a summer night in a folding armchair. Trump's howling at the moon. Release the Epstein file soon.
And yet, while we were told that there would be no more releases and that things were done, Lara Trump says something different.
What would be your advice? Given this back and forth, we're just coming off of Turning Point here in Tampa. This was the topic of conversation. What would be your advice in order to take the temperature down on this issue from within the administration?
Well, I do think that there needs to be more transparency on this. And I think that will happen. I mean, look, I don't know what truly exists there, but I know that this is something that's important to the president as well. He does want transparency on all these fronts, that everything we're talking about, because it's frustrated him as well. He sat for 4 years like the rest of us did and saw lie after lie and saw our country just being sent down the wrong path. And it was really frightening and very upsetting to a lot of people to see. And I would actually say over the past 10 years, we've all kind of endured this. Prior to that, it was probably happening, Benny, but we just weren't as aware of it. It wasn't until Donald Trump came down that golden escalator that he just kind of blew the doors off of everything. And people started to wake up and realize, wait a minute, things are not as they have always been presented to us. And I do believe that you will see that. Now, as it relates to the president, I know that this is probably not his number one thing he's focused on. He's focused on a lot of other important things. We've got this big announcement with Russia going on, I think, as we're speaking right now at the White House. We have, a Middle East, we're trying to get peace over there. We're trying to make sure that Iran's nuclear arsenal is obviously completely decimated. We want to make sure everything is on the right track for this country. Fortunately, you've seen no border crossings in the last month. 0, by the way. I think that's incredible. No one's talking about that enough. 0 illegal border crossings in the month of June. Amazing how that's all gone. So I don't know that this was top of mind for him, but he hears all the noise and he hears all of the consternation out there. And I think he's going to want to set things right as well. So I believe that there will probably be more coming on this. And I believe anything that they are able to release that doesn't, damage any witnesses or anyone underage or anything like that, I believe they'll probably try to get out sooner rather than later because they hear it and they understand it. So hopefully we see that happen sooner than later. And I guess that would be my advice. But to everybody out there who's all worked up about it, there's no great plot to keep this information away that I'm aware of. I do just believe that maybe it's been slow rolled for reasons that hopefully we understand down the line. And I think we're probably going to get more transparency on it very soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for some reason I won't be holding my breath, but thank you. Good morning, Pineapples. I'm Austin Peterson. Welcome to the Wake Up America show.
Good morning, Pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, Pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
Glad and thankful to have you here. If you haven't already, please do click the like button. If you're wondering why the numbers are a little lower, it's probably because a lot of people had trouble finding the stream this morning. And they had trouble finding the stream because we're streaming on my personal Rumble page and not my professional Rumble page. And that could be my fault. It could be the software, but we have new software. So if you haven't noticed, we've made some new upgrades. And we are streaming an even higher quality than we have ever been this morning on the Wake Up America show because we've got the fast internet finally. And Rumble now has a tool to help us out in streaming in that high quality, taking advantage of our internet speeds. So you should be seeing higher quality, but if you're seeing it at all, then you're seeing it on my personal page rather than the Rumble professional page that I've created for the show for you guys to be able to watch. And so some of you may have had some trouble finding the page. At least that's what I was hearing. So for those of you who did make it, thank you. Let's counteract the challenges that we've had technically by clicking that like button. And if you found us today anyway, make sure you click the follow button. And if you click the follow button, you'll get a notification when we go live every Monday through Friday. But you want to follow not the page that you're watching the stream on, sadly, but follow my rumble.com/AP for Liberty page. And that way you guys will be able to tune into the stream when we get it fixed and back on the regular page. Supreme Court Justice Brown had some interesting words.
I would say that I am really very...
what keeps you up at night?
I would say the state of our democracy. I would say that I am really very interested in getting people to focus and to invest and to pay attention to what is happening in our country and in our government.
What keeps you up at night?
Jesus, this lady. Thank you, Joel, by the way. You get a George Washington head bobble for your donation. 10 minutes from now, we'll have Camellia Peterson here on the Wake Up America show. She's going to talk to us about a piece in the New York Times. Is it time to stop the estrangement of our relatives over politics? It'll be a great conversation, and you don't want to miss it. But don't you want to unlock that bonus content before we go to Camellia so we don't watch commercials? Yes, we do. We've raised $56 towards a $75 bonus goal. That's a lot of money in the first hour, guys. Thank you. Very, very close to unlocking that bonus content. About 20 more bucks. We'll do so. So either make a Rumble Rant donation or go to 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. All of the donations and purchases this morning will get a George Washington head boop. And of course, we'll go towards unlocking that sweet bonus content and making sure that the Wake Up America show will be live next month, just like it's live this month. It's a great way to support the show and make sure that you've got plenty of content coming your way.
Because, you have people who don't want to leave their homes, who are not going to work, and they are in need of cash. It's a couple $100. I don't know the exact amount, and this should be available in about a week. Because, you have people who don't want to leave.
This is illegal immigrants who are afraid of leaving their homes, who are going to get taxpayer cash from Mayor Karen Bass of Los Angeles. That's where the Democrats are at this morning. I've got another story for you. Speaking of that, on the illegal immigration topic, we'll have Camellia Peterson at 8 a.m. Central Time, so I don't really have time for that just yet. Newsom's response to the federal raid: 300 plus illegal immigrants arrested on California marijuana farms. At least 10 were minors, possible child labor violations under federal investigation. Glass House Farms, state license, but claimed they didn't know minors or illegals were working there. Sure, they did it. That was a nice little, a sensible chuckle. We need to get a copy of Sensible Chuckle magazine. And Governor Hairgel wasn't even in the state when it went down. He was off in South Carolina planting the seeds for his 2028 loss. We're going to talk about Newsom this morning, and we're going to talk about Camellia Peterson. We're going to talk about people forgiving their neighbors or their friends or their family members for having different political opinions. And later on in the show, we're going to talk about the cracks in the cult of work, quiet cracking, and revenge quitting, the collapse of cubicle culture this morning, right after Camellia Peterson. We're going to go to a commercial break. If you unlock the bonus content during the commercials, guys, I'll go ahead and play the bonus content. We're only $20 away. That's all it will take to unlock it. So get that in if you can. And if you do during the commercials, we'll switch over to the bonus content. Camellia coming up after that to talk about forgiving your family members who are libturds. We're on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
Here at Alligator Alcatraz, the fence keeps them in. But slip up, and you're on my plate.
Looks like breakfast is making a run for it. We got 3 hot meals trying to check out early from Alligator Alcatraz.
They can splash, they can sprint, but there's no escaping Alligator Alcatraz. Caught 2. The third? Huh. The swamp's got its own way of catching runaways.
Mama was wrong. Gators don't need toothbrushes. Just an honest job making America great again.
This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch that makes communists cry. The Summer of Freedom is here, and it's absolutely unapologetic. Patriots, listen up. The sun's out, the shades are on, and the Gulf of America is wide open for business. This summer, don't show up to the beach looking like a landlocked liberal. Gear up with the Gulf of America collection. Towels, tumblers, shirts, hats, fanny packs, because nothing says freedom like cannonballing into liberty with style. Whether you're grilling burgers, catching waves, or just flexing on social media, do it draped in stars, stripes, and pure American greatness. The Gulf of America isn't just a place, it's a lifestyle. Hit forlibertyshop.com and roll into summer like the Founding Fathers just handed you the keys to the coast. Beaches, BBQs, and bald eagles approved. You should too. Head over to forlibertyshop.com and get your Gulf of America gear. Summer is coming fast. That's forlibertyshop.com.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government. Get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
When the Founding Fathers dreamed of liberty, they forgot one thing: coffee. Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America, and the brew that's fueling a new revolution, one kitchen at a time. Small batch roasted, Patriot approved, and disappearing faster than a red coat at Yorktown. Don't get left behind, soldier. Real patriots are starting their mornings with founding flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes better with a fresh cup in your hand. Stop drinking those tyrant brews who take your money and don't support your values. Stocks are limited, demand is booming, and your morning deserves a taste of liberty. Order now at forlibertyshop.com before the next shipment gets signed, sealed, and sold out. Founding Flavors Coffee, the official brew of morning rebellions everywhere. Get yours at forlibertyshop.com. Look, not all t-shirts are created equal. Some just sit there. Others start conversations. The ones at forlibertyshop.com, they raise eyebrows, win arguments, and occasionally get you banned from PTA meetings. Whether you're repping freedom, mocking tyrants, or just making the left squirm, we've got the gear that says what you're thinking. Loud, proud, unapologetic. Grab yours today at forlibertyshop.com because your shirt should speak louder than your neighbor's bumper sticker. Legend has it, back in 1773, a band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship, found the king's favorite tea, and said, "This would taste better without the tyranny." Then they tossed it overboard. Fast forward to today. That revolutionary spirit lives on in Boston Harbor Black, the boldest brew in the For Libert tea lineup. It's dark, it's smooth, it's unapologetically American, just like the folks who drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front porch or drinking it straight like a Minuteman before battle, this isn't tea for royalty, it's tea for rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of Don't Tread on Me in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at forlibertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, the least you can do is drink like a patriot. You know what America's real crisis is? It's not inflation, it's not TikTok, and it's not even Congress. It's the fact that we've become a nation of party poopers. Seriously, you'd have an easier time finding a payphone than finding a neighbor willing to host an honest-to-God house party. We're supposed to be the land of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And yet we spend our weekends on the couch, scrolling through social media, watching strangers have fun while we microwave leftovers in silence. Somewhere along the way, we turned into a country of professional spectators. We watch parades instead of marching in them. We like photos of weddings, but dodge invitations to the real thing. We call it self-care, when what we really need is a front porch, a cooler of cheap beer, and people laughing in our kitchen at 1 a.m. How did we get here? Why are we all so allergic to our own friends? And most importantly, how do we fix it before we become a nation of hermits who only socialize with DoorDash drivers and Alexa? Let's look at the numbers. Only about 4% of Americans go to or host a party on a typical weekend. That's down more than 35% since the early 2000s. Teens today party 70% less than they did 2 decades ago. For all our connectedness, we've never been more alone. Social isolation isn't just sad, it's downright unhealthy. Anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, worse health outcomes. There's a reason people in tight-knit neighborhoods live longer. They actually see each other. What's wild is that throwing a party is a skill, a dying art maybe, but totally learnable. You don't need a degree in hospitality or some elaborate Pinterest board. You need a little courage, a theme or not, and the guts to actually send out an invite. It could be a backyard barbecue, a game night, a chili cook-off, or just a hey, bring your favorite weird snack and come over. Give people a reason, and most of them, yes, even the introverts, will show up. Start small. You don't have to host 100 people. Invite 6, 10, maybe 12. Turns out if you host 10 people a year, you're probably going to get invited to even more gatherings. Community builds on itself. And no, it doesn't require artisanal cocktails, catered appetizers, or a professional DJ. Some of the best memories happen over boxed wine, burnt burgers, and awkward icebreakers that actually work. Let's be honest, A party is one of the only places left where you can mix people from different parts of your life. Your neighbor meets your cousin, who meets your coworker, who meets that guy you met at the gym. This is how cities and movements and revolutions get started. It's how business partners meet, how couples find each other, and how old friends stay young. But after years of social distancing, lockdowns, and Zoom happy hours that felt like televised hostage situations, we forgot how to do it. The muscle atrophied. Now we default to solitude and call it safety. But if we don't reverse it, we're heading for a country where the most common phrase at the end of every week is, maybe next time. Here's the trick. Social infrastructure starts in your own home, not in Congress or some taxpayer-funded community center. If you want real connection, you have to open your own door. Before we start demanding that the government fix loneliness, we should probably learn to set out a few folding chairs. Are you worried no one will show up? Start with the people who always come through. Co-host with a friend to cut the fear in half. Text your guests a reminder. Let them know you actually want them there. That's more flattering than any algorithm. If 3 people show up, that's enough for a party. If 2 show up, call it a salon. And if nobody shows up, congratulations. You get all the chips and beer for yourself. You don't have to throw Gatsby-level affairs. Keep it simple. Have a theme if you want. Don't if you don't. Put on some music, clear off the kitchen table, and let the evening happen. These small, intentional moments matter a lot more than we think. Look, the fix for America's loneliness crisis isn't more politics or more apps. It's more parties. Small, messy, sometimes awkward, often unforgettable gatherings of actual human beings. That's how you rebuild the fabric of a country, one invitation at a time. So here's the challenge. Before the week is out, host something. Anything. Backyard, living room, local park, doesn't matter. Invite your weird neighbor, your old friends, your coworker who could use a win. Light a grill, open a bag of chips, and let the night take care of itself. Because the real American dream isn't binge-watching someone else's life. It's making memories in your own. Stop being a spectator. Host the party.
I don't understand why I have empathy for others and other people don't, and yet people are calling me crazy for showing any sliver of emotion. My healthcare is being taken away, and me being angry at people who voted for this is being seen like I'm crazy. I'm cutting you off. You're out of my fucking life. I'm cutting you out of my life. All of you. Family, friends, you're gone at this point. I have nothing to live for because my health insurance, what I need help for, my mental health, all of that is gone. Like, oh yeah, and you can tell me, go get a job, go get a job. I've been trying for 6 fucking months now. And all these fucking idiot Republicans tell me is, go get a job, go get a job. Even if I get a job, it will not ensure that I have health care because they never give you full time. What else won't it do? It won't make me fucking happy. I won't be able to afford anything still. So tell me again to get a fucking job.
Get a fucking job. So what happens when a former Obama speechwriter realizes that being a sanctimonious jerk to his brother-in-law didn't actually save democracy? Womp womp. Apparently he goes surfing and he writes a book about it. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't satire. It's a real piece in the New York Times. But buried beneath the liberal self-loathing and the yoga mat humility is actually something profound. Maybe the culture war is winnable at the dinner table or in a wetsuit. Come join me now to unpack this. Camellia Peterson. Hi, CJ.
Good morning. Sorry I'm late.
No problem. We had plenty of commercials and bonus content anyway. They got it unlocked, so we're all glad to have you here.
Cool.
Camellia, this guy who wrote this article in the New York Times, he admits he treated his brother-in-law like a leper because he didn't get the COVID shot. That was supposed to be strategic. He thought he was saving democracy. Did elites ever stop to ask why people hesitated, or were they too busy writing op-eds about how morally superior they were?
I mean, yeah, I think this is at its core a human tendency that when you feel that you are right about something, that you look for ways to demonstrate that, and you want to try to make other people believe what you believe. And so, and add to that their perceived, sense of danger about what this could do, and somebody has to fix it and take care of it, right? So I do think that there was this thing that they had to do something to show all of those other people that they were wrong, and, force them to see their point of view. So, I think we see that happen on both sides, but we certainly saw it highlighted during COVID. And I think that was also a real reality check for a lot of people of the power of fear.
Absolutely. I mean, the way that the vaccine was pushed by the left was to terrify us and to call us, grandma killers and murderers if we didn't go along. And that was really an eye-opening moment. For many people, COVID-19 was sort of their political coming out, or it took the scale off of many people's eyes. Can you talk to us a little bit about vaccine shunning culture? I mean, there was a little bit of a vaccine shunning culture on the right as well, but nobody has purebloods in their Twitter bios anymore. But that was a thing for a while.
Yeah.
It was more a thing of the left.
Every once in a while, you'll still see it in the randos, comments, but that has kind of gone by the wayside for the most part. No, we saw it in the hotlines where you could call and snitch on your neighbors, right? For, having two people in their house, or for not wearing a mask, or for going to church. And so it just created this, I think, fear-fueled tendency to just alienate everybody else from you. And I guess maybe that's that fight or flight, kicking in. But there was so much uncertainty, I think, there in the beginning, but people just do not think rationally when they're fear-driven. And sort of this ties in as well. I think this goes to like this progression that our society has made in terms of what the nanny state, right? Because if there's, we all want to, whether it is your faith in God or whether it is your faith in government, we all want somebody bigger than ourselves to fix things and to explain the things that we can't understand and take care of us. Like there are just a lot of people out there, not everyone, obviously, but there are a lot of people out there who really do just want somebody else to make the decisions and take care of them, because individual responsibility is hard, man. And I think I might have sent this to you and Justin the other day, but there's been a guy on Instagram, I can't remember his name right now, who's been doing a lot of psychology oriented reels that I really am liking, because he talks about, the problem in our psychology culture and our mental health culture today, where it is like, it's about whether your locus of control is internal or external, and whether or not, and all this talk therapy and things like that. But he talked about your politics the other day, and that it's not about whether you are Republican or Democrat, left or right. It is about your worldview and how that's shaped and where your locus of control is. And do you think that everybody else is responsible for your happiness and safety? Or do you think you bear some responsibility in that? And I do think that was something that we saw starkly defined during the COVID years.
For sure. Talk a little bit about how social media and the legacy corporate news has created these moral echo chambers for people to retreat into.
Sure. I mean, you certainly saw that on display with COVID as well, where, you could get banned from social media for saying the wrong thing about it, right? And so they fueled that culture of fear. And it's like we've talked about before too. When people get on social media, they behave in a way that they normally wouldn't behave to your face. And so they will say things, and once you say those things, like, they're out there. What do you do when you see people face to face? But I do think that, it's easy for people to do that with strangers and to pass judgment online, where you don't have to do that face to face. But we saw this at a much deeper level, during COVID with how it affected families. Like people who just stopped associating with their families, and not just COVID, but just in politics in general. Story after story after story we've heard of people breaking ties with their families over their political beliefs, specifically, if they were Trump supporters or not. And so and you hear it way more, people on the left disassociating from their families than you would hear that on the right.
Absolutely.
Now,
you were at my wedding, Camellia. The person who officiated my wedding, a close childhood friend, spent years together, hanging out as good friends, did lots of things together over the years, always had fond memories, cuts me out of their life entirely, refuses to speak with me anymore because I supported Donald Trump. Had the same thing happen with another childhood friend. I don't know about my family members. That most of them, they are smart enough to not bring it up, or we all agree on politics. We come from a pretty conservative family. This is Missouri after all. But it's very jarring to lose people in your life that you said I love you to, that just suddenly decide that they hate you because they don't care for not just your politics, but because of whoever it is that you voted for. I mean, what's interesting about this New York Times piece is that this is a guy who admits that he did all this kind of stuff. And then what was his conclusion?
His conclusion was that, and the funny thing is he will tell you in the article that, he'd like to say that there was this, big, change of heart, and he really adjusted the way of his thinking. But the truth is like, it came down to surfing, right? He was learning to surf and he wasn't very good at it. His brother-in-law was great at it. And so he asked him to help him. And so they had sort of this, like, he felt like that there was a lot of this tension because he had given his brother-in-law the cold shoulder, right? And he's like, and that was, but he said like his brother-in-law was just like really, laid back, no big deal, didn't act like there was any animosity, or anything like that, and just acted normal. And so they proceeded to just focus on like the surfing, and he, I think his expectation of how his brother-in-law would respond to him kind of illustrates like how our suffering is, we suffer in imagination greater than in reality, right? And so it is, he had built all of these things up in his own head. And when it came down to that actual personal interaction, when he gave it a chance, it was not like what he thought. And so they found common ground, in the surfing and in doing those things together. And then also like in other things like Taylor Swift, like, okay, I will not judge you there, but whatever. Like,
sounds like a lib turd.
Anyway, but this very, conservative brother-in-law, they found this common ground on things. And he says, did they change like each other's minds? Like, and he does admit that, they don't have this conversation about their feelings and whether or not the brother-in-law is more open-minded now because of this better relationship that they have. Like, he's like, we don't do that, right? And he was like, but I like to think that he probably does, because here's the thing, like so much of politics, and people don't understand this, when you want to effect changes, it comes down to relationships. And so when this guy was thinking about running for office, his very conservative brother-in-law told him, I'd vote for you. And, this guy was like, what? Why? Like, because they don't agree, on so many political things. And he said, his brother-in-law said, you're a normal guy. You walk the dog. Right? You're just like, you're a normal guy like one of us. And he saw the value in that. And so, I think that's, this was a great story. I love, as far as like illustrating the common ground that you can find on things, and you don't have to agree on everything, and you can accept not agreeing on every single thing. So one of the things I hear in politics all the time is you'll hear people like, oh, those Republicans and Democrats, they all at each other like in the legislature. And then afterwards, they're out having a beer and they're buddies. It's the unity party. It's a deep state. Like
dinner party with the deep state. That's a good one. We need to make that like a video or something.
But yeah, but the reality is like you have to they have to work with each other, right? And you have to, in order to make things move, you do have to have some kind of a relationship there. And you can fight it out and have a knockdown drag out, but you should be able to then go and, find some agreement on maybe the more mundane or maybe the deeper things in life for that matter too. And that is what those relationships are what lead people to be open to changing their minds. It's not a guarantee that they're going to change their minds, but it makes them more open to it. Like, ranting at someone automatically raises their defenses, and they're not going to change their minds.
Yeah, talk about in-person friendships versus parasocial online ecosystems. It's a big question.
It is a big question. I do think that that's part of the challenge that we face in the digital age, is that there is so many of our relationships are online anymore. I will say though, like I don't discount that as much as I used to. Several years ago, my older daughter met a few people on TikTok of all places. So I know I'm like bad parents. But I mean, I was thinking, okay, this is not going to last, right? She needs real life friends. But the truth is like those people, she found a circle of people who have remained her friends that they talk to on a daily basis to this day. She goes to Chicago every year and, goes to a big event, with a friend that lives, one of those TikTok friends that lives there. And so there's, and she also has like normal in-person friends that she met at work and through other friends in person online. So there is like, you can have that balance, and you can have great friendships through that online connection, but it is different, right? I mean, there is a difference when you are in the same room with somebody. And I think that honestly, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, I think we're seeing the trend to go back to that, because in person is a little bit counterculture now, right? And so it's the cool thing to do, to hang out in person and do pop-up board game nights at the coffee shop or whatever it is.
The bonus content today was literally a story about how a little Americans party anymore. People they don't get together in real life like they used to. And if that trend is starting to turn around, I'm actually really glad to see it. But it is a fact that I will see Zoomer posting, and they'll be talking about they're posting videos from early 2000s, like teen movies or college road trip style movies. And they're like, oh my God, like these parties look like they were so much fun. They haven't experienced those things. I mean, a house party, a good house party. Now, Camellia, I don't know if you ever did any good house parties, or maybe you were too religious or strict or something at this time in your life. But I went to some banging house parties when I was in college and a little bit later as well. And those were very formative to my social life, because you get the awkwardness out, right? You say the stupid things that you need to say, and then you kind of realize how to interact with people, and you just don't get that same kind of thing when you're interacting with people online. But do you feel bad for the kids that they don't party as much as they used to?
I mean, yeah, I do think I think it's just, the way culture changes too, how people socialize, looks a lot different then than it does now. And it is true that I think that because we have more households with both parents working, and, people are much more mobile, and everything is not quite because we're so much more mobile, there's less, I think, of the community centric socializing that we do. Because I may not have had house parties, but our house when I was growing up was the place that it was more church house parties, right? Maybe that was
yes, you gather there. Somebody pull out the guitar, the acoustic guitar, "Kumbaya, my Lord," and everybody sit around and sing, and you'd have a bonfire.
This is where all the kids came. All the kids came to our place. All of the churches, all the big church socials and everything like that. Everybody we did a lot of hosting and entertaining. So. But it is, and I remember and we weren't the only ones, other people would too. You would go to other people's houses on a Saturday night and play games and do whatever. And it's true that there is not as much of that. And there is that is unfortunate. I'm not saying that the in-person, like local level socialization is gone. I do think that that is still there. It just looks different. And I think you find it probably more in, and maybe this is where conservatives are dropping the ball, right? Because where you see this more is you see this more in the art community, music, and, you know, some of those types of things. And so theater, you know, there's Renaissance festivals. The nerds are socializing.
That, you know, that's the thing, is you got to watch out for those nerds, man. They can multiply quickly.
And the emo has come back. You know that, right? Like there's like all of the D&D and emo kids, like they're what? Yes, they're all back.
As a matter of fact, I do know that emo is back, and I couldn't be happier because I was big into emo. Camellia, this was a great conversation. You and I, we partied last week. We went to the Lake of the Ozarks and had a great time. I mean, I think I get a little bit of like, I don't know, what do you call it? Some kind of like pheromonal kick out of like hanging out with my friends. So I remember when we went to Silver Dollar City that day and we saw Luke, my best buddy from college. As soon as I saw him there, I just like had this sense of relief, and I was just bursting with joy, and I was so excited to see him and to be there with you and with Stephanie and with our baby, and I have all of like the people that I love the most like in that close proximity. That is just so mentally healing that it allows me to come back and wade through all of this slop, this political slop, to come back and be healthy and be mentally healthy. But that was a great time. And those are the kinds of things that we need to do more. Because you know what the fact is that summer is slipping away. Yeah, I know you're going away somewhere, but you're going to miss out because Justin Peterson will be in town this week.
You are wait, will he be not till next week? Will he be here next weekend?
Yes, actually, he will be there for the birthday party.
Yay!
So you'll be at Hazel. So
I
you'll
won't
be
miss out entirely. Yes.
Okay, there you go. So for Hazel's Wonder of the Sea birthday party, we're gonna have Wake Up America, 3 Wake Up America show celebrities.
That's great. So,
Me, of course.
Know, I think there is, when you talk about the value of in-person and doing these things together, I'm sure that there is a very biological, you know, explanation for some of this too, as far as, you know, how it affects us physically when we are in close proximity to other people. But this just like, I think this goes back to a fundamental need in humans to be together. It's why touch is so important to the health of human beings. Why babies, like, you know, you can't raise a child without, you know, touching them. Like it is, they will not be the same. And so there's, I don't think we will ever be able to do without and be a healthy society without that close physical proximity to other people.
Amen. Camellia, anything else you want to share with our audience before we let you go today?
No, have a great day. Go out and touch some grass and touch some people appropriately.
Appropriately? Yes. Okay. See you later, Camellia.
Good.
Thanks for all you do. All right. Well, speaking of emo, Frenchie BS released his own emo French Bulldog music video.
Another lion to grow. You said goodbye, but never meant it true. You toss me bones like they replace affection. But bacon bits don't cure actions. Just one long life, not transactional actions. I was begged, I fucked, I played employed. But in the end, streets don't fill the void.
At
There we go.
GURPS, you never.
When we get back, the next topic, the last topic. Are you quiet cracking? No, just maybe we should just leave it like that. I'm talking about quiet cracking. The cracks when we get back. Cracks whack. It's the Wake Up America show.
Here at Alligator Alcatraz, the fence keeps them in. But slip up, and you're on my plate.
Looks like breakfast is making a run for it. We got 3 hot meals trying to check out early from Alligator Alcatraz.
They can splash, they can sprint, but there's no escaping Alligator Alcatraz. Caught 2. The third? Huh. The swamp's got its own way of catching runaways.
Mama was wrong. Gators don't need toothbrushes. Just an honest job making America great again.
This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch that makes communists cry. The Summer of Freedom is here, and it's absolutely unapologetic. Patriots, listen up. The sun's out, the shades are on, and the Gulf of America is wide open for business. This summer, don't show up to the beach looking like a landlocked liberal. Gear up with the Gulf of America collection. Towels, tumblers, shirts, hats, fanny packs, because nothing says freedom like cannonballing into liberty with style. Whether you're grilling burgers, catching waves, or just flexing on social media, do it draped in stars, stripes, and pure American greatness. The Gulf of America isn't just a place, it's a lifestyle. Hit 4libertyshop.com and roll into summer like the Founding Fathers just handed you the keys to the coast. Beaches, BBQs, and bald eagles approve. You should too. Head over to 4libertyshop.com and get your Gulf of America gear. Summer is coming fast. That's 4libertyshop.com. You know what America's real crisis is? It's not inflation, it's not TikTok, and it's not even Congress. It's the fact that we've become a nation of party poopers. Seriously, you'd have an easier time finding a payphone than finding a neighbor willing to host an honest-to-God house party. We're supposed to be the land of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And yet we spend our weekends on the couch, scrolling through social media, watching strangers have fun while we microwave leftovers in silence. Somewhere along the way, we turned into a country of professional spectators. We watch parades instead of marching in them. We like photos of weddings, but dodge invitations to the real thing. We call it self-care, when what we really need is a front porch, a cooler of cheap beer, and people laughing in our kitchen at 1 a.m. How did we get here? Why are we all so allergic to our own friends? And most importantly, how do we fix it before we become a nation of hermits who only socialize with DoorDash drivers and Alexa? Let's look at the numbers. Only about 4% of Americans go to or host a party on a typical weekend. That's down more than 35% since the early 2000s. Teens today party 70% less than they did 2 decades ago. For all our connectedness, we've never been more alone. Social isolation isn't just sad, it's downright unhealthy. Anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, worse health outcomes. There's a reason people in tight-knit neighborhoods live longer. They actually see each other. What's wild is that throwing a party is a skill, a dying art maybe, but totally learnable. You don't need a degree in hospitality or some elaborate Pinterest board. You need a little courage, a theme or not, and the guts to actually send out an invite. It could be a backyard barbecue, a game night, a chili cook-off, or just a hey, bring your favorite weird snack and come over. Give people a reason, and most of them, yes, even the introverts, will show up. Start small. You don't have to host 100 people. Invite 6, 10, maybe 12. Turns out if you host 10 people a year, you're probably going to get invited to even more gatherings. Community builds on itself. And no, it doesn't require artisanal cocktails, catered appetizers, or a professional DJ. Some of the best memories happen over boxed wine, burnt burgers, and awkward icebreakers that actually work. Let's be honest, a party is one of the only places left where you can mix people from different parts of your life. Your neighbor meets your cousin, who meets your coworker, who meets that guy you met at the gym. This is how cities and movements and revolutions get started. It's how business partners meet, how couples find each other, and how old friends stay young. But after years of social distancing, lockdowns, and Zoom happy hours that felt like televised hostage situations, we forgot how to do it. The muscle atrophied. Now we default to solitude and call it safety. But if we don't reverse it, we're heading for a country where the most common phrase at the end of every week is, maybe next time. Here's the trick. Social infrastructure starts in your own home, not in Congress or some taxpayer-funded community center. If you want real connection, you have to open your own door. Before we start demanding that the government fix loneliness, we should probably learn to set out a few folding chairs. Are you worried no one will show up? Start with the people who always come through. Co-host with a friend to cut the fear in half. Text your guests a reminder. Let them know you actually want them there. That's more flattering than any algorithm. If 3 people show up, that's enough for a party. If 2 show up, call it a salon. And if nobody shows up, congratulations. You get all the chips and beer for yourself. You don't have to throw Gatsby-level affairs. Keep it simple. Have a theme if you want. Don't if you don't. Put on some music, clear off the kitchen table, and let the evening happen. These small, intentional moments matter a lot more than we think. Look, the fix for America's loneliness crisis isn't more politics or more apps. It's more parties. Small, messy, sometimes awkward, often unforgettable gatherings of actual human beings. That's how you rebuild the fabric of a country, one invitation at a time. So here's the challenge. Before the week is out, host something. Anything. Backyard, living room, local park, doesn't matter. Invite your weird neighbor, your old friends, your coworker who could use a win. Light a grill, open a bag of chips, and let the night take care of itself. Because the real American dream isn't binge-watching someone else's life. It's making memories in your own. Stop being a spectator. Host the party.
What about for your values? I mean, is 8 years old too young?
Yeah, I mean, look, I now that I have a 9-year-old, it just became 9. Come on, man. I get it. So those are legit. You know, it's interesting, just the issue of age. I'm as someone that's been so focused on equality, broadly, LGBT rights, particularly gay marriage. Mm-hmm. The trans issue for me is also novel. It's over the last few years, I'm trying to understand as much as anyone else. Whole pronoun thing, trying to understand all of that. Well, you know, that was like the hell. I mean, all that stuff. I get it. All this stuff started to collapse on us. I joked with Charlie about Latinx. You know.
What about for your values? I mean, is 8 years old too young?
Yeah, I mean, look, I now that I have a 9-year-old, just.
What are they talking about? Talk about the age to transition your child. Good morning, pineapples. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. We're glad to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us live here on the show. If you haven't already, click the like button. Today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show. Click the follow button as well. There's a new workplace epidemic out there, and it's not coffee breath or performance reviews. It's called quiet cracking, not to be confused with quiet quitting or quiet firing or quiet luxury. Apparently now everything is quiet except the whining. Quiet cracking is the pre-burnout burnout. Imagine your soul as a ceramic plate. You don't notice it's breaking until your boss asks for just one more spreadsheet, and suddenly you're crying in the Starbucks parking lot. More than 50% of employees report having experienced it. The symptoms of quiet cracking are thus: dreading work, feeling purposeless, wanting to yeet your laptop into traffic. Can't speak today. This is the workplace version of Death by 1,000 TPS reports. Unleash the cracking and the crackening. Thank you, Quest Fanning. So dreading work, feeling purposeless, wanting to yeet your laptop. I guess I have quiet cracked. Quietly, I release my crack. A little bit of, not to get too distracted, we're not going to segue or anything, but there's this location that I want to scuba dive. It's in Roatan, Honduras. It's this beautiful island, and it's the second largest barrier reef in the world. The first is the Great Barrier Reef, and the second largest barrier reef in the world is actually in Roatan, Honduras. It's in our hemisphere. And there is this one location that I'm just dying to get to. I've been trying to get to. It's really remote. It's hard to, and you want to have a buddy, and it's hard to find people to go and do this kind of stuff, scuba diving with you in these specialties. Plus, it's kind of expensive. And, people have families and time. So, like, trying to make it happen. And the place is called Mary's Wall. So it's in Roatan, it's this giant 2 coral walls that you go down in between. But it used to be called Mary's Crack. Saint Mary. They thought it was a little disrespectful. Get back onto the subject. 28% of people say their workload is unmanageable. What about you? How is your workload? Are you guys feeling overloaded? I mean, I'm my own boss, so I don't have any choice. I'm overloaded by the marketplace, because if I don't put out 5 shows a week, if I don't sell a certain amount of boxes of coffee, if we don't make the bonus content for the day, if I don't make, enough like videos and content and promotions and marketing and new products, if I don't do all that kind of stuff, then I'm in deep, deep trouble and I will lose everything that I have. So my workload will never be manageable as my own boss. But I mean, if you are in a situation right now where you're in a workplace situation, do you feel like your workload is unmanageable? 15% of people who work at companies don't even know what their role is. I've seen that. That's really sad. 15% of people say they don't know what their role is at their job, and they feel a lot of stress about it. Imagine being so confused. You don't even know what job you were hired to do. And then you're getting passively, aggressively pinged about it on Slack or on Microsoft Teams to do something. And you're like, am I supposed to be doing this? Is this my job? And then when it comes to middle management, there are fewer middle managers now than there were before the pandemic. So the workplace has changed dramatically. People have had to work harder and do more with less. Y2 Joe says we had to lay off a bunch of people, so I'm stuck doing the work of 4 upper-level managers till or if they decide to hire someone. Quest Fanning says 6.5 hours and $465 to get to Coxon Hole, Honduras. Yes. But I don't want to go alone. I need a dive buddy. And you could dive buddy with like the people there on the island or other like tourists that are there, but it's just like, it's not the same. You don't want to dive buddy with somebody you don't know. So revenge quitting, managerial neglect. So there's no mentorship. There is no recognition. And people like Y2 Joe working their butts off, they're not getting mentored. They're doing the job now of 4 managers. And he's probably not getting recognized for it. Like they're probably not paying him more. And they're probably just dropping the load on him and saying, you've got to deal with it. So here's your 14 Zoom meetings and maybe a 2% raise. Go bring your whole self to work except for the part that needs sleep, of course. We're going to call you. We're going to give you a Zoom meeting at 4:59 p.m. God. Oh. So revenge quitting, you might have heard of this. This is different. Coined by TikTok creators. Quitting mid-shift, ghosting on day one, or leaving the team when they're most short-staffed. So quitting at the absolute worst possible time in order to shaft your boss. This is called revenge quitting. It's not just quitting. It's quitting like with a flair. Like it's Office Space or like Fight Club or what's that movie? F you, you're Good Burger. You're cool. F you, I'm out. It's a career version of kind of flipping the board, right? The Monopoly board. Now you're live streaming it and you're getting 500,000 likes. And you got to feel bad too, Generation Z. Not only are they not partying, but they get so much contradictory advice, like follow your dreams or hustle harder or mental health is everything or have a side hustle and then work a second job. Or maybe if you're working remotely, work like 2 or 3 jobs at the same time or work like until you're CEO at 27 years old. We told this generation they could be astronauts, rappers, CEOs, and influencers all at once. And now they're working customer service at the vape shop wondering why they're anxious. Yeah. Yeah, Y2 Joe says, I wish I got a raise. So have you seen the signs of quiet cracking at your workplace or in yourself? Is this a mental health crisis or is it a meaning crisis? Should we be fixing the workplace or rethinking the entire culture of work? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Only thing quieter than quiet cracking is your productivity after 6 Zoom calls and a check-in with your diversity consultant. That would definitely make me crack. Want to show my cracks? We used to have World War II vets crawling through minefields. Now we have 23-year-olds having nervous breakdowns because Slack is down for 30 minutes. You don't need a life coach. You need a boss who knows your name and a job that means something. That's what I say. Solutions are satire. So maybe the real fix isn't a corporate mental health seminar or another free granola bar in the break room. Maybe it's purpose, accountability, maybe a job that matters, or at least one where you're not replacing human interaction with AI-generated motivation posters. Not to demotivate you or anything, but...
So last night, I told my mom and dad that because they voted for someone who wants me dead, that they no longer have the privilege of having their daughter and their granddaughters in their life. And I told them, never contact me again. I'm never calling you. I want nothing to do with you. And take me out of the will. I have a younger brother who is also a MAGA. I said, when you guys pass away, give him the entire house. I don't want to inherit your house. I don't want anything from you. I don't want to hear from you ever again because I'm no longer safe being in a relationship with you. Because I'm queer, I'm autistic, I'm like half disabled, I have Lyme disease and POTS and a bunch of other shit. And I'm bisexual. I have 2 daughters and my husband's also bisexual. It's like, I'm no longer safe with people like you. You'd be the first ones to turn me into the Schnazis if shit went down here. So I just, to anyone in the comments that's going to say, oh my God, that's so terrible. The left is so hateful. You guys shouldn't be cutting off your family. You know what? I'm not going to fucking go to Thanksgiving dinner with my family and look them in the eye and just play nice anymore. Like, I'm done doing this. I have been gaslit and neglected and verbally abused by my family for being different my entire life. And I've cut off all my aunts and uncles, anyone who voted for Trump, anyone who's a Christian in my family, I know they voted for Trump. So I have like 3 people in between I have 2 people on my mom's side and 1 person on my dad's side left, and they're cousins. Cause yeah. And I have my husband, I have my 2 daughters, and that's all I need. I'm not going to be gaslit, and I'm not going to be gaslit anymore. I'm done living this life. So, good riddance. Bye.
All right. We're down the final few minutes here. Today didn't make you want to audit your government with a red pen and a lie detector test. I don't know what will. Biden's pardons were signed by Autopen. Trump said Joe doesn't even know what's going on. And honestly, based on the pudding schedule and the empty stare, I believe it. Biden is a man who needed cue cards to say thank you. And now we're supposed to believe that he personally authorized clemency for hardened criminals on his way out the door. Please. We're learning that aides were using a machine to duplicate his signature on pardons, no less. While his doctor pled the fifth, the National Archives are scrambling to pick up the mess, and the DOJ says nothing to see here. Friends, when the only thing doing its job in the White House is the Autopen, we've got a constitutional problem. We talked today with Camellia Peterson about political estrangement. We talked about vaccine shaming, family breakups, ideological exile, cutting off your family or your friends, the friends that you've lost over politics. But this was all because of the story of an Obama staffer reconciling with his Rogan-loving brother-in-law over surfing. That's the good stuff. Not because they agreed, but because they didn't need to agree to remember that they were family. Then we closed in on quiet cracking, the slow-motion workplace burnout where your soul breaks like an iPhone screen, quietly, invisibly, and right before your boss calls a meeting called, let's circle back. Corporate America has become a psychological escape room, and no one knows the code. Quick fact bombs here for you to take home. 50% of employees have experienced quiet cracking. 29% feel overwhelmed. 15% don't even know what their job actually is, which makes them perfect for U.S. Congress. And of course, the Grift Shop. My kingdom for a Grift Shop. If you haven't visited the Grift Shop yet today, make sure that you exit through the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com. Visit thegriftshop.com because if you do, you get to check out all of our new collections, new item drops, and all kinds of reasons to spend your money where you hang out in the mornings at the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com. Make sure you head on over, get yourself some sweet, sweet grifting merchandise, some lovely grifts for your friends and for your family that hasn't cut you off yet. We live in strange times. A president who couldn't form a sentence is now under investigation for signing pardons with a robot. People are quitting their jobs by vanishing into thin air, and families are relearning how to be civil, one awkward surf lesson at a time. God bless you. God bless America, and God bless whoever's actually holding the pen in Washington. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, right up here on Wake Up America. Signed, sealed, still not senile.
You know what America's real crisis is? It's not inflation, it's not TikTok, and it's not even Congress. It's the fact that we've become a nation of party poopers. Seriously, you'd have an easier time finding a payphone than finding a neighbor willing to host an honest-to-God house party. We're supposed to be the land of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And yet we spend our weekends on the couch, scrolling through social media, watching strangers have fun while we microwave leftovers in silence. Somewhere along the way, we turned into a country of professional spectators. We watch parades instead of marching in them. We like photos of weddings, but dodge invitations to the real thing. We call it self-care, when what we really need is a front porch, a cooler of cheap beer, and people laughing in our kitchen at 1 a.m. How did we get here? Why are we all so allergic to our own friends? And most importantly, how do we fix it before we become a nation of hermits who only socialize with DoorDash drivers and Alexa? Let's look at the numbers. Only about 4% of Americans go to or host a party on a typical weekend. That's down more than 35% since the early 2000s. Teens today party 70% less than they did 2 decades ago. For all our connectedness, we've never been more alone. Social isolation isn't just sad. It's downright unhealthy. Anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, worse health outcomes. There's a reason people in tight-knit neighborhoods live longer. They actually see each other. What's wild is that throwing a party is a skill, a dying art maybe, but totally learnable. You don't need a degree in hospitality or some elaborate Pinterest board. You need a little courage, a theme or not, and the guts to actually send out an invite. It could be a backyard barbecue, a game night, a chili cook-off, or just a hey, bring your favorite weird snack and come over. Give people a reason, and most of them, yes, even the introverts, will show up. Start small. You don't have to host 100 people. Invite 6, 10, maybe 12. Turns out if you host 10 people a year, you're probably going to get invited to even more gatherings. Community builds on itself. And no, it doesn't require artisanal cocktails, catered appetizers, or a professional DJ. Some of the best memories happen over boxed wine, burnt burgers, and awkward icebreakers that actually work. Let's be honest, a party is one of the only places left where you can mix people from different parts of your life. Your neighbor meets your cousin, who meets your coworker, who meets that guy you met at the gym. This is how cities and movements and revolutions get started. It's how business partners meet, how couples find each other, and how old friends stay young. But after years of social distancing, lockdowns, and Zoom happy hours that felt like televised hostage situations, we forgot how to do it. The muscle atrophied. Now we default to solitude and call it safety. But if we don't reverse it, we're heading for a country where the most common phrase at the end of every week is, maybe next time. Here's the trick. Social infrastructure starts in your own home, not in Congress or some taxpayer-funded community center. If you want real connection, you have to open your own door. Before we start demanding that the government fix loneliness, we should probably learn to set out a few folding chairs. Are you worried no one will show up? Start with the people who always come through. Co-host with a friend to cut the fear in half. Text your guests a reminder. Let them know you actually want them there. That's more flattering than any algorithm. If 3 people show up, that's enough for a party. If 2 show up, call it a salon. And if nobody shows up, congratulations. You get all the chips and beer for yourself. You don't have to throw Gatsby-level affairs. Keep it simple. Have a theme if you want. Don't if you don't. Put on some music, clear off the kitchen table, and let the evening happen. These small, intentional moments matter a lot more than we think. Look, the fix for America's loneliness crisis isn't more politics or more apps. It's more parties. Small, messy, sometimes awkward, often unforgettable gatherings of actual human beings. That's how you rebuild the fabric of a country, one invitation at a time. So here's the challenge. Before the week is out, host something. Anything. Backyard, living room, local park, doesn't matter. Invite your weird neighbor, your old friends, your coworker who could use a win. Light a grill, open a bag of chips, and let the night take care of itself. Because the real American dream isn't binge-watching someone else's life. It's making memories in your own. Stop being a spectator. Host the party.